Welcome everyone to a Minecraft Cubed Prankster's Pagoda bonus video. This is a behind the scenes video, and today I would like to explain the magic behind the main gimmick of the season, which was of course the pranks, which would sporadically occur throughout gameplay, initiated by the infamous Prank King. Now, I hate to spoil the immersion, but it turns out that the Prank King is not actually a real entity. You know, he's not like the second coming of Herobrine, but rather just the product of some somewhat creative command block implementation. And I actually think that the way it works is quite interesting. So, as per usual with this server, I have a room built far underneath spawn, which is where redstone things take place. So let's go ahead and check things out, and I will attempt to break things down. Okay, I just want to begin by saying that this is just... Okay, ignore that. I just want to begin by saying that this is just my way of approaching the problem. Like, whenever you have an idea for something like this, there are probably many different solutions, and it's likely that there are some better solutions than what I have come up with. I'm not an expert in command blocks with redstone, so just keep that in mind. This is just how I approached the problem, and in this case the problem was, okay, how can we make a random event such as one of 24 possible pranks occur at seemingly random intervals? And so, really breaking things down, there are two parts to this problem, right? We have a system that randomly selects an option and an activator that we can use to execute the system. So let's just start with the main system, and that is going to be this area over here, which we just kind of saw in action. And it's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, I have 24 pressure plates here, and they each correspond to a different prank. So when stepped on, the prank activates, and I don't really feel like I need to explain these command blocks that much. They are obviously responsible for the splash text and actually implementing whatever the prank is. But the question is, how do you generate randomness in Minecraft? Because there's not like a built-in randomness command. I really wish there was. It would be so much more convenient, but there isn't. However, there are certain elements in Minecraft that have randomness built into them. Like, for example, a dropper will randomly choose one of its 9 slots from which to eject. And another example is the spread players command, which can be used to teleport all players to random positions within a defined boundary, and it turns out that you can actually use this command to spread other things too, like animals. So you maybe see where I'm going with this. So, let's see. Down here, I have a very simple redstone circuit, and this red block is where a redstone torch will be spawned by the activator whenever we get the activator working. And this will cause a redstone signal in 2 directions. And the purpose of this rightward path is simply to delete the redstone torch right away. Because if we don't do that, then this will only be able to work once and not repeat over and over again. So it's always important to delete, and you'll see that same sort of idea used multiple times throughout this whole system. I'm not going to explain it each time. Just know that that's what that's for. And then the main important thing about this is the leftward path, which is also quite simple. So first, we're going to summon a sheep, and it's going to appear on this red block. And then we can use the spread players command to randomly move the sheep, and it's actually going to get moved somewhere above ground, because that's just the way that the command works. But that's okay, because then we can immediately teleport the sheep 60 blocks downward, and that should cause it to move somewhere around the ceiling here, where it will then fall to its death and likely activate one of the pressure plates as it hits the ground. So, sad, short life for the sheep, but it's for a good cause. And, oh, by the way, when summoning the sheep, we can actually give it this prank tag, which differentiates it from all the other sheep in the world. So when we use the spread players command, we can specify that we only want to teleport the sheep tagged with prank, because otherwise, every time a prank was activated, all of the sheep in the world would randomly teleport and die, which you would probably find quite annoying, especially if you were trying to make like a sheep farm or something. I mean, that would actually be like the ultimate prank, I guess. But anyway, that's how the selection process works. So now let's talk about the activator. So remember, the goal is just to spawn a redstone torch every, like, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. But not exactly, and sometimes it might take longer, sometimes shorter. So at its core, this is just a redstone clock, right? We have this circuit that will repeat over and over again forever, and after enough times, a prank will activate. And for our purposes, I made it 100 times. So every 100 loops, a prank may occur. And I say may because it's not a guarantee that the sheep will land on a pressure plate. It happens about half the time. But anyway, we can easily keep track of the number of loops by using a scoreboard, which is this right here. And as you can see, a scoreboard is really just like a variable. And so I have named this variable prank timer. So every time the circuit loops, we increment prank timer by 1. And then over here, I have this repeat command block, which is constantly testing to see if prank timer equals 100. And as soon as it does, this command block is activated, which spawns a redstone torch right here. And this redstone torch will reset the timer back to 0, but also spawn another redstone torch right here, and that's of course the main important one. So yes, alright. So yeah, that is just a redstone clock, but in order for this to work, we need to get a little creative with the design, because if we just used a regular clock, it would be completely linear, right? You would easily be able to predict when the next prank was going to possibly occur, because prank timer would always increment at the same pace. So instead, what I have is a redstone clock that actually branches off into 2 different directions, okay? It has a junction, so we have a shorter path, and we have a longer path. And for each loop, the path that is activated is randomly determined. And so the way that I do this is by using a dropper. Because like I mentioned earlier, droppers select an item to dispense pseudo-randomly, and for most things that you can put into a dropper, the dropper will just spit them out on the ground for you to pick up. But if you put a water bucket into a dropper and activate it, it will actually change the block in front of it to a water source block. And the same goes for lava, and this is very helpful because water and lava sources count as blocks, and we can actually test specific coordinates for specific blocks. So here's what we can do. First, delete the dropper, and then immediately re-add the dropper, and you can see this happening here over and over again. And the reason that we do this is to prevent the dropper from running out of items and not working anymore. So then, what we can do is summon a redstone torch right next to the dropper, and that will cause it to eject either water or lava. And then over here, I have 2 repeat command blocks, and one is constantly testing for water, and the other is constantly testing for lava at the coordinate over there. And depending on which is found, a redstone torch will be spawned either here or here. Both of these will delete the redstone torch next to the dropper, but this lava-activated circuit will spawn a redstone torch over here, thereby activating the shorter path that goes straight to the incrementation, and this water command block, water-activated spot over here will summon a redstone torch here, which will activate the longer path. And so we have a redstone clock that is constantly incrementing, but at 2 possible rates. And over time, this disparity will add up, so it is almost impossible that the duration of one cycle will be the same as the duration for a different cycle, even if the cycles are within the same general ballpark. And really, that is all there is to it. So, just a little bit of creativity, but now we have 2 unique systems that work together to create this season's titular twist, and that is why command blocks are just so much fun and awesome. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm not expecting anyone to go and recreate their own Prankster's Pagoda thing, but hey, now if you wanted to, you could. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you all later.